Hello and welcome to episode 51 of Some Like It Real. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Veronica.
And we're two cinephiles who love to talk movies.
We have weekly episodes discussing the newest films, creating lists and drafts, and keeping you updated on the latest movie headlines and awards races.
As a reminder, please like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, which helps more people find the show.
And share it with any cinephiles in your life.
Today's episode is going to be our biggest yet, and you'll hear why momentarily. But we are doing a draft all about coming-of-age movies.
Yes, I have never heard Bryan talk about this genre. It's probably one of his least favorite. Not exactly sure why we're doing this one for him, but, what better way to celebrate over 50 episodes of my drafting coming-of-age films?
Yeah, I can't stand this genre. Truly abysmal from top to bottom. It's the absolute worst. All the worst movies of all time come from this genre, so I have no idea why we're doing this draft today. And even just saying that sounds crazy because truly I cannot keep this bit going on too long. This is my favorite genre. I'm so excited to be talking about all these films today. But Veronica, would you like to tell us why this draft is so special?
Yeah, so like we said, we've hit over 50 episodes of this podcast. Bryan and I are so appreciative of everyone who's listened, who's participated. We thank you so much for all of the support we've received. So as a gift, we've decided to make this a sort of mega draft where instead of our usual four-person max drafts, we've bumped it up to 6. So that's right, 6 people will be on the pod today.
6 people, 36 films. It's going to get crazy, but talk about an amazing way of celebrating this milestone.
Yes, so long spiel out of the way. Bryan, would you like to introduce our exciting team of drafters?
Absolutely. First up, Katie Dahl.
Oh, thank you guys for having me back. This is my second time around.
Olivia Howell.
This is my first time around. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Hailey Lachman.
Thank you for having me. This is my first time as well. I'm really excited.
And Liz Sayko.
I'm so excited to be back and hopefully a redemption round.
Well, welcome to the first mega draft for everyone. So thank you for being here for this extremely special draft. So Olivia and Hailey, with your first time drafting with us, how does it feel being on our first big 6-person draft?
I'm scared, honestly.
Me too.
Mostly for the pre-1980s one because I'm slim picking. So if 5 of them are gone, I'm nervous.
Me too, but I do feel like coming of age movies are so versatile. Like you can genre hop a little, so that's why I feel a little bit comforted. If that makes sense.
Definitely.
And Katie and Liz, you've both previously been on. Katie, you successfully walked away with winning the Jake Gyllenhaal auction draft. And Liz, you were so close in sweeping the romance movie draft. So for both of you, how does it feel to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just had beginner's luck there, but I'll take the win. I definitely will. But I kind of share Hailey's sentiment here, where coming of age can really go across all genres. So I'm very excited to kind of make any movie a coming of age movie. So there might be some oddballs in there for me.
Like I said before, I'm just excited that I get the chance to now kind of compete again in another draft. I am a slightly competitive person, so I took the loss pretty hard the last time. So I am hoping to come for the win this round.
Everyone else is here for the discussion of coming of age. Liz is here for the win. It's been established.
You have to have a little bit of competition, otherwise you got to have a little bit of friendly competition in the air.
For sure, yeah. Well, let's get right to it. So Bryan, would you like to explain the rules and categories to our listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll each be drafting teams of 6 films, and the categories will be divided up in decades. So we have pre-1980s, 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s.
Like Bryan said before, we'll have a grand total of 36 films to choose from when diving into one of cinema's biggest genres. So excited to see where everyone goes with their picks.
And with that, the time has come to pick the draft order. I have our names on a wheel. Thank you so much, wheelofnames.com, for not sponsoring this podcast. We very much appreciate you letting us use our wheels, your wheels, to put our names on it. So I'm not going to go around and asking who wants to go first, because if you say you want to go first, chances are you're going to go last, as it's happened to Veronica many times. Right, Veronica?
Don't jinx it. It's not worth it.
So, without further ado, here we go with spinning the wheel.
Oh my god. Is it gonna be me? Oh my
I
god.
think it is.
I'm honored. 1 out of 6 chance. Is that like the first time I've ever gone first?
You've gone first a few
Maybe
times.
once or twice. Yeah. Wow. I'm shocked and I'm honored.
And next up will be
Next is Katie.
I'm taking it. That's good placing right there.
third will be
Close, but it's Liz.
Woo! I'll take it.
Damn, this is tough.
Like, I am so happy I got second. I'm like, oh, thank God. Get mine out of the way.
Oh, there we go. There we go, baby.
We got Bryan.
So between the newcomers,
Yeah, this feels rigged.
I was really hoping that we would go a whole episode without hearing that word.
Not while I'm around.
We were
The
so
rigged
close.
allegations
So
that are thrown
close.
around.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, Olivia, you didn't get last, so you
It's
should be
me.
blessed. Think of it this way, Hailey. You could think of it as like you saved the best for last. So
Yeah.
that's how you ended up in the 6th
Yeah.
spot. So the draft order today will be as follows: Veronica, Katie, Liz, myself, Olivia, and Hailey. So before we get into drafting, and it's going to be very, very exciting. I'm so excited for this. I want to go around and everyone could briefly talk about their history of coming of age, what it means to them. So Katie, let's start with you. What does coming of age mean to you?
Oh God, now I have to go first for this. Coming of age, it was definitely, as one would expect, something that I watched a lot in my teenage years. I think in my early 20s, I sort of phased out of it, and I was kind of that mindset of, oh, like it doesn't apply to me anymore. But I think as I've gotten older, and Bryan, I've told you this before, that I think coming of age can apply to any decade of your life. And so I'm sort of revisiting the genre and, starting to form a loving relationship with it again.
Liz, let's pose the question to you. What does coming of age mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with what Katie just said. I think coming of age when I was younger, it was more of like romance and teen angst and just that world of like the teenage brain. And now that I'm going through like adult life and experiencing much bigger things, for me coming of age has more of that nostalgia feel with it as well. And also what Katie said as well, that coming of age isn't just for teenagers or young adults. It's for 50-year-olds, it's for 80-year-olds, it's for anybody that's really going through a change in their personal lives. And I think that's why this genre is so powerful in storytelling, because it really gives a lens for anyone to be able to relate to it.
How about you, Olivia? What's your history of coming of age and what does it mean to you?
It was everything to me growing up. Like, it was my favorite genre. I watched every teen comedy that was about growing up. And now that I've gotten older, I'm like echoing the same sentiment of I don't feel like you ever really stop coming of age. And as someone who's in like their mid-20s and like really has no idea what they're doing and like where to go, it's still like a genre I really relate to and gravitate towards.
What about you, Hailey? Are you in the same boat as everybody else with coming of age?
I am. I think it's such an all-encompassing genre. It's so versatile, and that's why I feel like you can just take something away from any part of your life, you know?
What about you, co-host? How do you feel about this genre that we haven't talked about at all on this pod?
Yeah, never talked about, never discussed. I totally second everything that you've all said. Definitely agree with sort of a beautiful idea of you can come of age at any age. You know, of course, it's more associated with young people going through something. I do think there has to be some element of change, whether that's, I mean, could be an evolution or a devolution. Like it, you know, it can. There are many different ways to interpret it. So I think it'll be interesting. I don't know if there'll be anything that we have like a discrepancy on that we don't know necessarily fits into the genre. But for me personally, I kind of like the idea of being a little loosey goosey with it and saying that, you know, coming of age is in the eye of the beholder. So you can sort of almost look at any character on an arc as in a new era, a new age of their life. So I think that's what makes it such a great genre that can speak to so many different people, as I'm sure it has spoken to you, Brian. So if you want to discuss your history with the genre.
Well, I'll be very, very brief because we have a lot of movies to draft and everything. This is my all-time favorite genre. I used to have a podcast all about coming-of-age films. It's a very universal genre, more universal than I think any other genre put out there. And what I love so much is some of that all of you have posed about how coming-of-age isn't just catered towards teens and young adults. You can come of age of any point in your life, and that's why this genre has really grown a huge fondness for me over the years, especially throughout my 20s. I'm close to my 30s now, and I think that this genre speaks so many volumes to who I am as a person and who I was growing up. It's a very nostalgic genre. You look back and you reflect on who you are, but then you also try to look forward into thinking about who you're going to become and how you could better yourself, but also just be yourself. And I think all these movies, regardless of if they're comedic or more serious, but then also the unconventional type of coming of age stories, it's going to be really fun to see where all of you stand on the genre, what films are considered the coming of age films for you. But this is the genre for me. Anytime there's a coming of age out, it's a priority for me. Whenever I see a bad coming of age film, I just want to die, quite frankly. But regardless of that, there's a lot of winners in this genre. A lot of my all-time favorite films are coming of age films. And when me and Veronica came up with the idea to do this draft, I was so excited because we've talked about this genre verbatim on the pod. We're both fans of the genre, but this is going to be like the draft for me. So I'm very excited to draft alongside all of you today about this beautiful genre. So I say without further ado, let's begin.
Let's begin with my pick for once. Very, very exciting. So yeah, looking at this genre, you know, I think we've alluded to it a little bit, but I definitely think that some decades are much stronger than others. And so, you know, I was considering starting with a weaker decade because you want to grab something up. But even though this is a strong decade, I'm going to go with one that I think is just sort of an overall, all-around number one pick, pretty much. I'm going to take Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird in
of course
2010s. Yeah. You know, there's not that much to say about it. I'm sure that everyone is aware of it or has some experience with it. I saw this in 2017 when it came out. Had definitely seen Greta Gerwig as an actress, but wasn't all that familiar with her as a person. Just loved this movie from the second I saw it. Just found it to be so charming, relatable. You know, I think that Greta is someone who's talked a lot about the way that specificity creates universality and the way that she writes this character. You know, she's talked about how Lady Bird is not necessarily a self-insert character, but just getting really specific with those qualities that some of which she shares, and the specificity of the place, of, you know, wanting to escape your family, escape your hometown, but ultimately that going on a journey with that and your own relationship to your own identity within high school. I think about the line, "Aren't they the same thing? Love and attention," literally all the time. Like, that is just so deeply, I don't know, embedded into my philosophy. I just really like, I just absolutely love that from the second I heard it, and just find it to be so true, among other things within the movie. Yeah, so true, so funny. Gorgeous performance from Saoirse Ronan, who is just, you know, I feel like she's going to be an incredible actress for the rest of her life. You know, hopefully, I think we will see many great performances from her, but I kind of feel like Lady Bird is the performance. I feel like that is just a perfect mesh of the material and the actress. Yeah, just totally obsessed with this movie since it came out, and definitely my number one of the genre, I think.
Yeah, what else is there to say? Like, seriously. What else is there to say? You said everything. It's the best. I think that this was going to be the definitive like first round pick for whoever ended up becoming the first drafter and everything. So yeah, I mean it's a masterpiece. What else is there to say?
Yeah, dunked on us first round.
I don't get that first pick often. I gotta make use of it.
And you made great use. It was a great first choice. I loved Lady Bird. I watched it in college. I mean, there's nothing I can say that you haven't already said, but I mean, what a stunner, really.
Cool. All right, moving on to the next pick. We have Katie.
Great. I am going to start with what I consider actually my favorite movie of all time. And I've told Bryan about this. If anybody has ever seen my letterbox, they know what this is. It's the only coming of age movie in my top 4, and that is Juno. Juno is the movie that got me into movies. I remember I saw this on some like channel, like cable channel, and I started watching it. I didn't know what it was, and by the end of it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is a movie!" It's like how I saw like The Day After Tomorrow with Jake Gyllenhaal. I was like, "Oh my god, this is an actor!" Like this was a movie, and I think first of all, Elliot Page gives the performance of a lifetime in this movie. It is utterly hilarious, also heartbreaking. I think about that scene all the time where Juno confronts her boyfriend about, I have evidence of the fact that we had sex. You can just go on with your life and nobody has to know anything else. But I also think this movie, even if you can't relate to it on some level, because this is not something every teenager goes through, not every teenager goes through a pregnancy, I think it also says a lot about friendships and love and random people you meet along the way, such as Jennifer Garner and Jason Bateman's characters, and also your family dynamics. And just for this film to have such a supportive family system for Juno was something that you don't often see in these kinds of movies, and I think that was really refreshing for me to watch.
Great pick.
Yeah, great. I'm honestly jealous that you got it. It was on my list to grab just
Same.
now. Honestly, same thing. I watched it like as a teenager and just was like really moved by that film. So I completely echo everything that you just said.
I'll shout out that I love a Diablo Cody script. The really
Yes.
specific heightened way that she writes just makes all of her films so distinctive, and yeah, just very, very memorable lines in that one.
I still have your underwear. I still have your virginity. Would you shut up?
Great line. I will say her screenwriting, I mean, when I was in college and taking a screenwriting class, I did fashion some of my screenwriting after her style. And I don't think I would say my writing is still like that to this day, but I'm glad I have those memories.
And the fact that this was her debut script and it won her an Oscar is so inspiring to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So cool.
amazing. I think that's what any screenwriter would want.
Agreed. Liz, you're next. What is going to be your first pick?
All right. I'm gonna go with one that is in a category that I personally am having had a lot of trouble with, and so I'm happy that I can kind of get my pick for this one. And I'm gonna go pre-1980s, and I'm gonna go with The Graduate.
Shit.
Nice.
Yep. Sorry. This film for me was really big for me in college. This was one of the first films that I did like a full film study on and really dissect the script to like fully understand the like different conversations that it's trying to have. And I think that it's one of those films that really pushes the conversation. I can't even imagine for the time in the 60s too about post college and that coming of age story of feeling the time that you should know what you want to do, but you have absolutely no idea what you want to do. And you're just making these crazy life choices because you feel like you should be young, but you also feel like you should be a full adult. And I think that just the relationship between Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft is so dynamic and just a very crazy circumstance to be able to dissect and kind of look through the lens of a coming of age story. It came out in 67, and I mean, it also won Best Director. I think that just that ending shot alone of them like sitting on the bus as they're going on into life is so beautiful and heart-wrenching, and so many question marks of for us as the audience of like where are they going to end up, and for the characters as well, they don't know where they're going to end up. And that really is kind of the epitome of like coming of age. You don't know where you're going to end up. So that is my pick.
Took it right out of my mouth. I'm devastated.
I think you took the most obvious option for
Yes.
that decade, and I'm proud that you were able to grab that.
Thank you.
Masterful film from top to bottom. Great ending, like you brought up, and also fire soundtrack with all the Simon and Garfunkel needle drops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love a subversion of a happy ending. That's just can't beat that.
Okay, we're to me now.
Yep.
Wow, this is kind of tough. This is really hard. Let's go with the 90s, the decade that I was born in. Let's do that. And I'm going to put 10 Things I Hate About You.
Damn.
I'm so sorry, Olivia.
It's fine. It's fine.
Another obvious one.
Not my number one of the 90s coming of age universe, but probably the definitive one in terms of like acclaim and success and the chemistry between the two leads. You want great chemistry in a coming of age film that also has a romance involved, and Julia Stiles and Heath Ledger, oh my god, like just the aura on screen from them together and separately is unfathomable. When he sings Frankie Valli, that's an all-timer moment. And just it was an interesting look on different dynamics and how these two characters were so drastically different from one another, and it formed an unlikely friendship that neither of them expected. So it's very delightful. It's very sincere and heartfelt. And on top of Ledger and Styles, you have a great supporting cast around them, including my boy, my dearly beloved Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So yeah, it's one of the greats, especially of the 90s. When you think of 90s coming of age, but also 90s cinema, this is a pivotal one for sure.
It was an amazing pick. I
It's
think,
the best movie.
yeah. I often say that Heath Ledger in that movie is like my ultimate like version of a man. Like that is what I want.
Absolutely.
But
What
I
more
mean,
do you want in a man, quite frankly?
exactly?
Like-
Come on. And he quit smoking for her. It was for some money, but he quit smoking for a good while. And I think that's what every man should do.
So true. And then bought her a guitar.
Exactly.
Yes.
What more do you want? Like, period.
Okay, Olivia, you get to pick
Okay.
now.
I have to get pre-1980s out of the way, and my one pick was taken, and so I've had to do my backup, which is like subversive question mark on I don't know, but I'm gonna go with Carrie. Brian De Palma's Carrie.
yeah. That was on my list too.
Yes.
Yeah, to me this is like ultimate puberty as horror movie. Like literally the whole plot kicks off with that, and everyone just being awful. But yeah, Brian De Palma just takes like every excruciating part of being a teenage girl, like the bullying, the desperately wanting to fit in, the overbearing religious mother, the prom, and just like cranks it to full blown horror. And it's like coming of age wearing like a horror jacket to me. And I feel like it has a lot of range in terms of what it is. And then also Sissy Spacek's performance in this is just like the most incredible thing in the world. It's like not a slasher where the teen girl is the victim and she's like the main character and the horror is her revenge. And you also get to see her kind of coming of age into this incredible telekinetic murderer. And I love her for it.
They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. This is an awesome pick. I love a genre coming of age, and I love an unconventional coming of age. And when you look at Carrie from a distance, you may not think of it as a coming of age. You think of it just as like a conventional horror film, but then you dig deep into the surface. And like you said, Olivia, this is a coming of age, and it's honestly one of the stronger examples of coming of age in the 70s. But then also, when you think about it, it's one of the coming of age stories that should be more defined and more talked about when talking about coming of age. So I love this pick. I love this movie. And it's up there for best Stephen King adaptations. And it's up there for Brian De Palma's best. And Sissy
I'd agree.
Spacek's performances. Like, that's an all-timer performance. And Piper Laurie freaks me out so much that anytime I watch this movie, I try to watch it in broad daylight because she gives me nightmares.
Yeah, she's crazy. Love her though.
Wish they never remade it, though. That remake was awful.
Yeah, with
Chloe Grace,
Grace Moretz.
and Julianne Moore. And on paper, Julianne Moore, that's a great pick, but that movie around her was just not very good.
No, definitely not.
Well, we've got one coming soon from Mike Flanagan, so my hopes are high, but we'll see.
I know I'm reviewing it, so we'll see how that is.
Yeah, just so, and I love it. Yeah, very fitting as a coming of age because it's just the to the outside world the monstrosity of a teenage girl coming into her own, and we support women's rights and also women's wrongs, and she did nothing wrong. But yeah, just a great movie to so viscerally like feel that experience of being out of control of your body and mad at the world, and just that righteous anger is just radiating off the screen. So very, very appropriate for this draft.
Love it. Thanks, guys.
And you got the worst category out of the way, so. All right, next up we have Hailey.
I'm also going to follow Olivia and get that category out of the way because those were my picks, the other two. So I'm going to go 1959, The 400 Blows. This is a French film that I watched when I was in college for one of my film classes, and I feel like it is one of the most powerful coming-of-age films. I feel like it's a film that understands how powerless childhood can feel, and Antoine in the film is constantly being disciplined and feeling misunderstood, and he's surrounded by these adults who feel like they know what's right for him or what's best for him. So I feel like nobody really tries to understand him, and that feeling is just so relatable and universally felt. So I think it's a beautiful film that shows that.
That was also on my list for that decade. I wish I had rewatched it after college because I feel like in college I didn't appreciate it enough. I just kind of watched it for the assignment. But the way you describe it, I mean, that's how I remember like the essence of that film. And I think back then, like even talking about childhood experience, because back in the day, they didn't really care about kids that much. Let's be honest. They just kind of said, go work in the mines and come back. So for a movie like that to come out in that era is really special.
Big blind spot of mine. Unfortunately, I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, same. I
It's a good
haven't either.
one.
You sound very sophisticated talking about it.
Yeah, same. Has been on my watch list for a long time. Cool.
Good news, Hailey. You get to pick another film.
Okay. So I am going to time jump then, and I'm going to go to the 2010s, and I'm going to do Moonlight.
Oh, fuck.
I feel like this is the coming of age movie because it's literally coming of age through 3 different points in his life. We get to see him construct new versions of himself for survival purposes, and this movie is literally like one of my all-time favorite movies ever. Every time I watch it, I just get something new out of it, and it's nothing like my life at all, which is what I think is so beautiful about it. But I just feel like it's a great representation of how your life at different points can be about discovering who you are, even if a lot of that's repressed and buried.
Incredible
Fantastic
movie.
film.
One of the best of the decade / century.
Great film, great Best Picture winner, masterpiece all around.
Yep, I've had the pleasure to talk about it on several drafts, and yeah, love to gush about Moonlight. It just gets better with age too. Can't believe that it's 10 years old already, but just totally holds up, and I feel like it will forever.
Thank God it won Best Picture, quite frankly.
So true.
Totally unremarkable Best Picture win. You know, nothing funny happening at all.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Very normal evening for
Very
everyone involved.
normal and chill. Okay, so now we're snaking back to Olivia's pick.
Oh, I get to go again. Okay, I'm gonna go to 2010s. I'm gonna go with 2018, 8th Grade, directed by Bo Burnham.
Nice.
To me, this was like the most accurate movie of what it is to come of age as kind of an awkward girl. And I feel like I was obsessed with Bo Burnham in every capacity when I was in high school. And I feel like he just nailed what it feels like to be 13, which is crazy to me because he's like older, like a white man in his 30s / 40s, and he like wrote a 13-year-old girl better than I could like ever explain it. But like Elsie Fisher's Kayla is like this anxious, awkward, makes self-help YouTube video that nobody watches, like sits at the pool party and like is covering her stomach, and like just a masterclass in secondhand embarrassment. And I've never seen anything more accurately portray my life at that time, in any capacity. And there's like not really a romance. There's no big like dramatic finale. There's not really like a life lesson montage. It just ends with her being like slightly more okay than when she started, which is like the most true to life ending in any movie to me. And like I don't even know if I could watch it ever again because it made me cringe so hard, especially when she's like kissing that banana. But yeah, I love this movie so much, and I will defend it until the end of time.
That's a
I
great
think that
pick.
movie is.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
It's like the embodiment of secondhand embarrassment. I've only seen it once. It's the only time I'll ever see it. It's fantastic, but I will not go through that again. It's like thinking, you know, would you ever go through middle school again? It's like, hell no. Why would I do that? No,
I would rather die.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, it was tough. Like, I still feel like when she's in the hallway and she's like doing little finger guns while she walks away, I'm like, I still feel like I do that all the time.
This entire
yes.
movie is so uncomfortable, and it's scarier than a majority of the horror movies that have come out in the last like 10 to 15 years. And I rewatched it a few years ago for the podcast that I did, and there's just so many shots or so many sequences where I was sinking in my couch. I'm just like, I can't watch this. Like that long take of her walking down to the pool, that was very hard to watch.
It's tough. But then you get the scene of like her and her dad in front of the fire, and you're like, okay, everything is amazing.
Yeah. For now, everything is fine.
Yes.
Why hasn't Bo Burnham directed another project? Where is he? Could he come outside already?
He's directing something right now, apparently for Netflix. That filmed in Toronto.
For Netflix.
Oh, please. I need Bo Burnham again. We just did a 2021 draft, and Inside was on the board, and we were all like, has Bo come outside yet? Like, where is he?
He's busy being Phoebe Bridgers' muse.
Fair.
Does he have a cameo in primetime? That's what we could hope for.
Yes.
I do want to really see him direct again because what sticks out to me with 8th Grade is like it does, like you're all saying, it captures that like cringe comedy. It feels so real, and like, you know, the characters in this are probably, you know, Elsie Fisher's character is a little bit younger than I would have been, but it was like so to my experience. But it also it also managed to be very like subjective, very in her point of view, and just those super. There's like that super dramatic shot of her like looking at the cute boy, and it like is just so melodramatic and everything. And so I would love to see him direct again as soon as possible because this one just really like hit it out of the park. Okay, we are back to Bryan.
Okay, I'm gonna stick with 2010s as well. We've all picked really good coming of age films from the 2010s. Lady Bird, 8th Grade, and Moonlight. I would agree that those are definitive coming of age films of the decade. But if you're talking about coming of age from the 2010s, it would be remiss to not mention the film that literally took a long time to get off the ground and shot in real time, directed by my guy Richard Linklater, Boyhood. I know that there's a lot of people out there that do not like Boyhood because of the gimmick, because it was shot over 12 years. They claim it's boring and nothing happens. But isn't that kind of what life is? Like, there's nothing special, nothing glamorous about it. It's the little things that stick out to you. And this was such a reflective movie that honestly should not have worked as well as it did. And it was a huge gamble to shoot a movie in real time over 12 years. People could have backed out. People could have died. Anything could have happened that could have tainted this entire production. But Richard Linklater is like, no, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make it. And if it doesn't work, then so be it. But it worked beautifully. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, and he's obviously someone that has dabbled in many different decades in this genre, but this is the definitive coming-of-age film that he has directed, and you can make a case that it is one of the definitive coming-of-age films, not only of the 2010s, but of the entire century so far. So I'm going to pick Boyhood, but also it would be important for me to have a film starring my good friend Ethan Hawke.
My good friend Ethan. I am so mad that you chose this because this was top of my list. This was one I really wanted because, like you said, if there is any coming of age movie that exists, it is Boyhood. And I think beyond what they did with filming it over 12 years, and like you said, anything could have happened. I think even Richard said that, like, if he were to die, then Ethan needs to take over and finish directing it. And thank God that never happened. I'm sure Ethan would have done a fantastic job, but Richard, what he's done here is absolutely amazing. And I would argue that so much happens in this movie, especially with, I can't remember the kid's name, but Mason, his home life, the amount of relationships his mom goes through. We not only see him coming of age, we see his mom coming of age, really. She starts in college, she becomes a professor, she goes through so many relationships.
Ethan Hawke's character comes of age, too, because he is so different from when the movie begins until where the movie ends.
Exactly, and we see the sister coming of age. Like, she starts out as, like, this bratty little, like, diva, and she sort of grows up to be a little bit rebellious, like her father, in a way. I just think this movie is one of the greats.
Never seen it.
What the fuck?
It's a tragedy.
Sorry to say.
You have to watch it. It's amazing.
I rewatched this today. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Liz.
No, go ahead, Veronica. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I rewatched this today. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I knew that I liked it. I didn't remember it all that well from seeing it a long time ago. And I was like, the first, 15, 20 minutes or so, I didn't remember that it was so, Mason, the main kid, I think he's about 2 years older than me in real time. And so I was like blown away by the nostalgia of like the very specific experiences that they were having. And the movie does such a cool job of like really highlighting the technology that they're using and the media that they're consuming. And the music is very, obviously it's very of the time. And I was just like, I couldn't remember that this was so, would hit me so like personally, and anyone who was of or around my age. And then, you kind of get brought in by that, and then you just get totally swept away by this intimate family story. And Ethan Hawke is he's just like extra Ethan Hawke in this. I just feel like he's that kind of character that he is so good at playing. That is, I'm sure partly based on himself and his own experiences, but you kind of get how he is so charming, and yet he's like just a little too much of a screw up. He just can't really be relied on. He can't really be there for the kids in the right way, at least at the beginning of the story. And I was also struck by how it really feels more like a story between Mason and his mom. And there are, so many scenes as he's growing up of like kind of seeing her as like a real person for the first time, and understanding her experience outside of just being his mother, which is, it's something that everybody goes through as you grow up and realize that your parents aren't perfect and life isn't perfect. And it's just, so many cool small moments that add up to an entire life. It's just, so beautiful.
Liz, you were going to say something?
Honestly, everything that Veronica just said and more. That's all that I could really add to it. I am so glad that somebody got this film. I wish that I had it on mine, but I'm either way, I think that this film definitely is a staple for the coming of age genre, and so I'm not surprised that somebody snatched it up.
I would agree. It might be like the coming of age film. We literally watch the actors age
Literally,
like in
yeah,
real time.
like
It's crazy.
you said, Brian, that it might be like some people might argue that it like leans into it too much, but I just feel like this is the epitome of like a coming of age movie because yeah, as Veronica said, you literally watch them come of age.
And not to spend too much time on this film before we go to your next pick, but Richard Linklater really should have won Best Director for this, and the fact that he didn't is crazy. I know that he didn't make a movie that was shot to look like one take and everything, but the achievement that he pulled off, the fact that he was able to pull it off successfully and not get rewarded for it is absolutely crazy to me. I do like Birdman, though. Just want to let everyone know.
Yeah, no hate on Birdman. No hate on
Slight
Birdman.
Batman shade.
Okay, Liz, we're back to you. What is going to be your next pick? Are you going to continue on the 2010s, or are you going to go to a different decade?
I think I'm gonna jump a couple decades. I think I'm gonna go to the 90s, and I'm gonna do a movie that I personally would be upset if I didn't have. I don't know if other people are gonna grab it, but I'm gonna go with the Virgin Suicides. Um,
Great pick.
I am a huge Sofia Coppola fan, and this was the first film I'd ever seen of hers, and it really stuck with me at a young age. It, for me, totally puts on display the like dream, memory, fantasy, very blurred memories kind of that come along with being a teenager in a way. I think it also just talks about like that sad melancholiness that can also come with being in a weird teenage life. And there's just something about the relationship between the sisters. I have only sisters, and not that like I see like us in them in any way in this movie, but there's something about me, I personally, when I see like the sister relationship on screen, it just hits me more. And then also, I mean, it's adding to the list of the Sofia Coppola and Kirsten Dunst relationship, which for me, they forever should just be working together, and anything that they do is brilliant. I love their work together and just the stylized, yeah, just like the stylized dreamlike fantasy that this film puts out. And it just makes you so confused but also really understanding, and for me it's kind of encompasses that weird world of like teenage dread.
So true.
Yeah.
Entire being a teenager is dread to me. Like that is the feeling I had the entire time I was a teenager. So yeah, I totally agree. That movie is like the weirdest, most. It feels like you're walking on like a cloud.
Yeah.
Of sadness.
It's so dark and it's so bleak, but there's also such a beauty to this film that I feel like only Sofia Coppola could replicate. And the fact that this was her, I think this was her directorial debut. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I need someone to fact check me on that. This to me is the best thing that she's ever done, and I agree with you, Liz. She and Kirsten Dunst should just make every project together. And I know that they were supposed to do something a couple of years back. I hope that they work together again. And I love the fact that she's worked with Kirsten Dunst throughout all these different decades, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s. The 2020s are more than halfway done. We need them to work together again, please.
I'm literally waiting.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. I don't remember the exact line, but something about when there's, spoiler alert, a suicide attempt from one of the girls, and I think when she's in the hospital and like a doctor says to her, like, he's looking at this middle class healthy young girl and saying like, what do you have to be upset about, or something like that, and she's like, you've never been a teenage girl. Like there's something along those lines, that it is this interesting dichotomy of like, yeah, you can look at someone who is ostensibly has a perfectly happy life and is perfectly fine, but there is just some like non-quantifiable existential dread that comes with growing up, particularly growing up as a young girl, when there's just so many other things to deal with, and yeah, just you just feel that in this movie even when it's not explicitly stated.
All right,
right.
Katie, back to you.
I am actually going to stay in the 90s because for some reason, I just haven't seen a lot of coming of age movies in the 90s unless I just don't remember them that well from my teenage years. But the one I do remember is Good Will Hunting.
Damn.
This was a movie that really stuck with me, particularly because I think, as someone who also has an immense fear of failure, I think Will's predicament and his fear of failing and fear of rising above his childhood, it, 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 it just resonated with me a lot. I think this is a great film to show that you are not stuck in the situation that you were born in. But it also shows how hard it is for people to come out of it. And I think it is very empathetic to people who suffer childhood abuse and choose to still live in it. I think the dynamic between Will and Robin Williams' character is absolutely just immaculate. I think Robin Williams gives one of his best performances, as does Matt Damon. And the fact that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote this, I believe they were in college when they did. And, they won the Oscar for best screenplay when they were like 25. I mean, my God, how many times has that happened to somebody? It and what they wrote here, it is just so raw and it's so real. And I would recommend this to anyone who, it maybe they're trying to look back in the 90s. They're like, what's like a good film for me to watch? I'm like, Good Will Hunting. Good Will Hunting. That's the first one that you need to watch.
Totally. That film was incredible. And I love that it's like someone who's already like incredibly capable and smart, and they're like the learning in it is like him getting to be young and messy and willing to fail.
Yeah.
Beautiful combination of writing and acting from Matt Damon, and I agree, Robin Williams, one of his best performances for sure. Very deserving Oscar win for him, and that screenplay win is an all-timer, absolutely. And great Boston movie too. I love a movie with over-the-top Boston accents, and it doesn't get more over the top than when he says, "Hey, remember me? We were in kindergarten together."
Yeah. There's not a lot of Boston movies where you're just like, oh, so this is Boston. Like sometimes you hear it in an accent and you're just like, I don't want to watch this movie anymore. I can't with this. But this movie, I work through it. It's good.
Son of a bitch stole my line.
Yeah.
So good. Wicked smart.
All right, now it is my pick again. So it's crazy going first. I have to wait a really long time for it to get back to me. Didn't forgot about that part of it.
To be fair, this is our first time also having 6 people on the
Yeah,
pod.
so I had to wait even longer. That's why I got first this time. Still rigged.
All part of my
Anyway,
plan.
All right, I think I will go for the pre-1980s category now, and I'll go ahead and take this little-known movie called The Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
Interesting.
I think it
one.
qualifies. I think it qualifies. Dorothy certainly goes on a journey. She learns that there's no place like home. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. I've always loved Wizard of Oz. This is like the first movie I remember loving. It's probably one of the first movies I watched. Probably watched it like every day when I was a kid, and had wore my ruby red slippers everywhere, and was pretty obsessed. I mean, yeah, there's not much to say. I have a classic, landmark in movie history, incredible music, incredible Technicolor, and and I do think it is not only is it, I think, a coming of age movie, but something that like me, I think a lot of people glom onto when they're young, and you watch and you can sort of grow up with it. It just is this sort of blast of nostalgia, and but also just a very quality movie that you can enjoy watching until you're 100 years old. So I would love to grab that one for my team.
I can't wait. This movie is about to be like 90 years old. That's insane. One of the most timeless movies of all time. Just a definitive movie probably for many of us growing up, and it still holds up to this day. And I think we talked about this movie on a previous draft. I think it was the musicals draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
I think I had said that the flying monkeys still scare me, and you and Morgan laughed at me, and I'm like, that's not funny to laugh at someone who's terrified of them.
This is serious.
I completely agree with you. I have an irrational fear of this movie. I do like this movie. I recognize that it's great, but there was some point in my childhood where I was like, I am not watching this anymore. Same with Snow White. I was a very sensitive kid, and I just said, you know what? Seen it once, never seen it again.
Yeah, it can be freaky, especially when you're young.
But it's so good, though.
Yeah,
So good.
It's a perfect movie.
Okay, and now I get my third pick. For this one, I think I'll go for the 90s now. I'm going to take one of probably, it's up there in my favorite movies. It's definitely up there in my favorite comedies. I'm going to go for Clueless, which I have just a movie that I've seen so many times, so quotable. It just a hilarious comedy. A modern retelling of Emma that is just, yeah, I think one of the best literary adaptations into modern times, because it's just so funny. Again, going to specificity, I think the characters are so specific, and it's this heightened, rich, like Beverly Hills world that I certainly don't have any experience in, but you can just understand that it's they are sort of the embodiment of their times, but also, like I said, like it's a little bit heightened too. So it's just fun to look back on, and it kind of is dated, but in an interesting way. And I just love the character so much. Alicia Silverstone is just magnificent in this. I mean, that's just clearly her like all-time best role. So just it's so funny, it's so like easily watchable. If it's like in the middle on TV, I will just sit there and watch through the end. And I think in terms of a coming of age movie, like you really do, the characters are well drawn enough that Cher goes on a journey. Like she does have to learn like a little bit more complicated ways in which you can be a good person and be considerate of those around you, because it's a very smart movie in that it doesn't start her off as being like some kind of dumb blonde or any sort of stereotype, but she does have to kind of unlearn the ways in which life has just been so easy for her, and in order to consider other people and see things from not her own point of view. So just a great cast of characters, a great script. Just absolutely love this movie.
I agree. I love this movie. I'm so glad that you picked it. I think it is just like a timeless classic that is about like a girl growing up, and like it does kind of cover like some more serious topics, but I think that it's just something that is like a staple for anyone to watch growing up. And like even now, I feel like I can watch it anytime and just have such a great time watching it.
Paul Rudd is in this movie, and he is so fucking hot, and that's all I have to say.
True.
So true. Although I get kind of like weirded out because they were like stepbrother and sister, and then they
make
are in
it
love.
so, they bring it up so many times in the movie too, though. They're like, but we're step siblings, like it's not by blood, and it's like, okay, it's still kind of weird, but
I know, like, why
guess
are you
we'll go for
kissing?
it.
Stop.
And then you could guess what happens after that. As if I'm only 16. Is that what she says? Right? Is that what she says?
I think so. I think so.
With the great Wallace Shawn. And could the suicide attempts please be postponed until the next period?
Hilarious.
It's a good film.
Amazing movie.
You're a virgin who can't drive.
Way harsh tie.
Iconic.
It's great. It's a great film. All right, Katie, back to you.
I think I'm going to go pre-1980s because pickings are slim around here. I am going to choose a movie that I probably wore the VHS tape out. I probably wore this one out. Alice in Wonderland. I don't know. I mean, I guess in some sense it is a coming of age movie, and I'm going to say that it is to sound confident in myself. I see this movie as obviously a little girl stuck in her imagination, and like the parts where she's growing up and she's shrinking down, it kind of represents, how fast life goes, and how, even if we're growing taller, we're kind of feeling smaller. We're constantly switching between like, an insecure mindset or a confident mindset. But I also kind of see it as like when you get older, you sort of lose that imagination a little bit, and you start thinking logically about things. Like when Alice goes into this new place, she's constantly trying to like question everything. Like, why is something there? Where's the white rabbit going? What is everybody doing? And you never really get an answer to it because sometimes life just isn't that way. You don't get an answer to everything. And then by the end, things aren't so silly anymore. Things are crazy. Things are very dangerous. And she finally snaps out of, this wonderland that she's created. Um, and I think even if it's not like so obvious, it is a movie about the essence of childhood and growing up a little bit. And I think it came out in 2010, the new version. I think that that one especially tries to hone in on the coming of age part more, especially with Alice's background and what's going on in her world. But I do like that the original movie doesn't spend too much time figuring out who Alice is in the real world. We know Alice in the imaginary world.
I didn't even think to like pick an animated movie.
Oh, that's the first thing I thought of. I said
Like
animated movies
that's
for kids.
great call.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I have a couple of Disney movies as possibilities. I feel like a lot of children's movies, Disney movies could definitely qualify. And yeah, I haven't seen Alice in Wonderland in a long time, but yeah, I spoke beautifully about it. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, definitely.
Strange fucking movie. Very strange. Very psychedelic. But it's pretty good.
Were you scared of this one too?
Yeah, the Cheshire Cat freaked me out.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in a long time, but honestly, you talking about it, might watch it this week now.
Thank you.
I love the 2010 version. I watch that
I
all
do
the
too.
time.
I do too. I don't think people really liked it, but back in the day, I was wearing
Yeah,
out the DVD for that.
same. I was eating it up. And Anne Hathaway as the White Queen. So good.
Anne Hathaway rocks in that movie. So does Helena Bonham Carter.
Yes.
All right, Liz, you're next.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the 2000s. And I'm gonna go with one of my like favorite rom-com-y movies that's also a coming of age, and that's 13 Going on 30. Yeah, that movie for me is just like honestly a staple in my life. I could watch it anytime. It's so funny. I mean, Jennifer Gardner, Mark Ruffalo, Judy Greer, like just the absolute story of this 13-year-old girl pushed into a 30-year-old's body. And like now, as I'm getting closer to 30, I'm like, that's crazy. That's such a crazy concept to just be like experiencing, but then also such a sweet moments too. Like one of my favorites is when she's having like the sleepover with some of the younger girls and they're all just like jumping on her bed with her. And
Yes.
it really is like a coming of age, and you're watching this 13-year-old girl just try to like figure out, or this 30-year-old woman try to figure out life, because she really is in a weird way like reverting back to a younger version, but it's still a coming of age. And I just love it. It's also a conversation of like when you're younger, you want to grow up so badly, and like you want to grow out of like the embarrassment of being younger. But then when you are older, like a part of you just wants to experience being younger again. And so it's just that entire conversation around age. And it's just so funny. Like I truly could watch it all the time. Anyone that hasn't seen it, I tell them, I'm like, you're crazy, because it's a classic.
Totally. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And Mark Ruffalo in that movie, holy shit.
Another hot
Gorgeous.
man.
Man. Like his little CBGB shirt, and he has like a blue velvet poster in his house, and he's like incredibly hot and woke. Damn. Love him. Down.
Love of our lives in that movie.
Yeah.
Veronica, we need to do a Mark Ruffalo drag like stat.
Yeah, we gotta get on that.
Great movie, fantastic pick, Liz. I wish they weren't rebooting it or remaking it or whatever
I
the hell
know.
they're
I don't want
doing.
them to do
And
that.
I love Emily Bader. Oh my god, but like, please don't touch this movie.
And Logan Lerman, I think, isn't it?
Yes, he
I think
is.
so,
The main
yeah.
man. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, this is like you guys both said. This is one of my top movies. Loved. This is a favorite with me and my mom and my sister. And yeah, I think as someone for me, who's someone who was like always kind of a mature kid and was like, oh, just can't wait to be an adult and like shed all these silly childhood things. I think it is a fun watch to from that perspective, thinking of all the fun that comes with adulthood. And like I feel like now that I am 30 years old, I definitely do try to kind of have that perspective sometimes of like, oh, think about if 13-year-old me could see my life right now, all the things that I would think are so cool and so grown up. And yeah, it is just kind of an interesting perspective. At my 30-year-old birthday, I did have my nails painted the colors of her dress with the stripe, the rainbow
Amazing. That's
stripes.
amazing.
Obsessed. Yeah,
I
this is
love that.
just one of the best movies of the 2000s for sure. Okay, Brian, it's up to you again.
Um, do I go with the recent decade now or do I wait? Oh, this is really tough. Um, nah, we'll save that for later. All right, let's go to the 1980s. There's a lot of films to choose from. Am I the first one to choose from the 80s? Yes, I am. Okay. The 80s is like very definitive when it comes to coming of age films, so there's a lot of great options to choose from. But for me, I'm going to choose the one that means the absolute most to me. I'm going to take Dead Poets Society as my 80s pick. Not to get too personal or deep or anything, but this movie kind of saved my life during a really terrible period of my life. And I will never forget watching this in 2014 for the first time. And I was so blown away by the spirit that was lingering throughout it, the great performances from all the actors. Robin Williams at the height of his career, then star-making performances from Robert Sean Leonard, Josh Charles, and of course Ethan Hawke. Again, very fitting to have another Ethan Hawke film on my team. Just makes sense. Um, but the whole message in this movie about carpe diem, seize the day, finding yourself, discovering who you are, embracing who you are, not letting anyone tell you that you can't be who you want to be is a very universal topic that I feel we all could resonate with, regardless of when we watch this in our lives. And this movie, as much light as there is throughout it, there's also darkness sprinkled throughout as well. And the final act of this movie is absolutely harrowing and really devastating and a massive gut punch to the point where it hits a little too close to home for me. But I think that all in all, it is a beautiful examination of coming of age, especially during the time that this was said. This was during the 50s and at a prep school. And I just really think that it spoke volumes to where I was in my life when I watched this. And it's a film that still resonates with me all these years later. And I'm never going to forget watching it when I did. And it's one of the best films to me that I've ever seen. And again, it's the film that really saved my life. So I'm really grateful for that. So Dead Poet Society will be my pick for 1980s.
Great pick. I watched this movie on a plane for the first time.
Oh,
Big
no.
mistake.
That's not a plane movie. You can't do
No,
that.
I cried so much.
The altitude will get you.
Yeah,
Makes you cry more. I don't know why.
I know. Same with Coco. I watched Coco for the first time on a plane.
Ooh. Yeah, good pick, Brian. I
It's
haven't
a-
rewatched it in a while, but it's definitely a classic.
Literally what I was about to say too. I haven't watched this in like a really long time. But honestly, I'm like low key making notes over here of like gotta rewatch this, gotta like go rewatch Alice in Wonderland, and now Dead Poet Society. So there we go.
Always come out here with a good watch list. That's always a good sign. All right, moving to Olivia.
Okay, I'm gonna stay in the 80s, I think, and I'm gonna take. I think I'm gonna take Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I rewatched it for the first time in a while, a couple weeks ago, and it's so good. And it's just like it's not about like growing up through pain. It's like this one perfect engineered day. I love the fourth wall breaks. He like cons the entire city, and the movie's basically arguing that like skipping school to like live this amazing like larger than life day is like a legitimate rite of passage, which I think is amazing. And to be honest, I don't even think Ferris Bueller is like the main character at all when it comes to the coming of age. Like Cameron is like one of my favorite characters of all time, but his arc in this movie going from like anxious wreck to like finally standing up to his dad, like that is true coming of age. And it's doing like a lot of the real emotional COA work in this movie, while Ferris kind of just gets to be like a folk hero. But it's like the anti eighth grade because it's like pure confidence, no cringe, like everything works out. And it's just like peak 80s John Hughes, like effortlessly cool, but it still has kind of a nice coming of age message with like the whole life moves pretty fast. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie.
It's a great pick. I saw it pretty late in life. I saw it maybe like 5 years ago for the first time because it was always one of those movies that people recommend. And I was just like, I never got around to it. But when I did, I absolutely loved it. It was everything I expected, and it's so goofy. It's like you said, it's not like eighth grade where you're gonna feel embarrassed. You're gonna look back on your own childhood and be like, oh my god. Like I kind of look back on my childhood and watching Ferris Bueller. I'm like, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I try to be like him?
I was not skipping school enough.
Exactly. I didn't do anything like that. But that's exactly why we have this movie, so we can live out our fantasy in it.
So true.
Cameron Fry is one of the greatest characters ever put to screen. The freak out in the car, the freak out over the car, him just saying, Ferris Bueller, you're my hero. Wow, I feel so seen. Just love him so much. Alan Ruck, all-timer performance. Cannot believe that is Connor Roy from Succession.
I was about to say, isn't that Connor?
Crazy.
Another
Swing
all-time
that up.
performance.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
He's so good. He's so good.
Call me sir, god damn it.
Yeah, this probably would have been my number one 80s pick. Great movie, and you all talked about it really well. Okay, moving on to Hailey.
Okay, I'm gonna go 1990s, and I'm gonna do But I'm a Cheerleader. I feel like this movie is about the main character realizing that everybody has been defining her identity for her. And at the beginning, I feel like she doesn't even understand why people think that she's gay. I feel like she has this like very specific idea of what a girl is supposed to look like and want and become, and then she gets sent somewhere to manufacture heterosexuality. So I just love how exaggerated this movie was, from the production design to the colors, making those like pinks and blues very gender expected. And I feel like she grows up realizing becoming herself is rejecting the version that everybody planned for her.
So true. Also, like, defining queer cinema, which I love. And also RuPaul. Is it RuPaul in that movie?
So good, yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, I watched this for the first time a few years ago and loved it. Yeah, it just, Hailey, everything that you said, and it manages to be like, it's a very, biting satire, but it's also like just genuinely very kind-hearted. Like it ultimately like loves its characters and everything. And yeah, so much of the production design, the like exaggerated pinks and blues, and just kind of highlights the ridiculousness of like putting everyone in a box of boy and girl and being regulating how people can feel and interact with each other. It does all of that while just being like so hilarious and having some great performances.
Love it. Great film.
Cool. All right. right, Haley, back to you.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go to the 80s now, just because I don't want anyone to take what I want to pick. But I want to go with Kiki's Delivery Service.
Mm.
I feel like this is one of the most like joy-inducing, gentlest, is that a word? I don't know, coming of age movies. I feel like it's like a lot of movies that are coming of age have something that they need to overcome, and it's usually very giant or traumatic, and I feel like this movie is the opposite. It's not necessarily going through something traumatic, just discovering independence is hard and not something that you can imagine, and she has to figure out how to make friends and find work and deal with loneliness, and she literally loses the ability to do the thing that makes her feel so special. So I just especially love that part because I feel like it's so relatable to growing up, and it's just learning that losing confidence is a part of growing up, and it doesn't mean that you've lost yourself.
So true. That movie feels like a warm hug.
Yeah.
I've
actually
actually
never
never in a
seen
very long time.
I've never seen it.
I've not seen it in a very long time, so I honestly don't recall. I really don't recall it that well, but I think that's one that I'm gonna have to definitely rewatch at some point.
This is a film that has grown for me over the years. It used to be a film that I liked, but never quite loved. But it wasn't until maybe about 2, 3 years ago where I rewatched it and I totally understood the hype and everything that Haley said. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, sincere, hopeful film, and I would recommend the English dub, where I think Kirsten Dunst voices Kiki, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
I've never seen it in dub,
Oh, you've
actually.
only seen the
Or
sub
no.
version.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you prefer watching the sub version for these Ghibli titles, or do you not have a preference?
I prefer subs over
Fair
dubs.
enough. Fair enough. It's a great film, though. Fantastic pick. All right. Back to Olivia.
Okay. Gonna go left field and one that
Uh-oh.
just mostly means the most to me. I watched it. Me and my best friend, I think, watched it every week for like 6 months. And it's going to go into the 2000s, and I'm going to go with Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my god, that was on my list. Oh, I love that you picked that.
This was literally my favorite movie for like 6 years when I was like a teenager. So unapologetically too. Like, this is pure British teen comedy, like bra stuffing, snogging scales, and like someone who trains them how to snog. Aaron Taylor Johnson as this perfect heartthrob, like Georgia. Like, his voice in that is crazy. He's like chaotic and delusional and hilarious, and I love this movie so much. It was the perfect coming of age movie to watch when I was 14 and thought I was like the ugliest person in the world, and I was like, oh my god, she's so normal looking, and Robbie is adorable and he loves her. There's still hope for me. Yeah, it's just like pure comedic specificity of embarrassment, and it's like not about trauma or tragedy, and just like the everyday mortifying trials and tribulations of like being 14 and or 15, and it's just like a very specific flavor of being a teenage girl, and I love it. I love it. The soundtrack bangs. I still listen to Ultraviolet completely unironically all the time. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I love that you picked this. Literally, I am having like flashbacks to watching this because I really haven't seen this in probably like 8, 10 years.
You gotta
And
rewatch it.
literally, I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I watched this when I think I had a very similar experience. I watched it with like all my friends. We had a very small group. It was like in middle school probably. I remember we watched it. I think it was like on YouTube for free. You know how like YouTube back in the
Yes.
day, you could just find like free movies sometimes that
Yeah.
people uploaded, and I think that's how we watched it. Um, I don't know, that movie, that is so just like middle school me. That's all I can remember. It's like that, and there was like another movie called Click or The Click or
Oh,
something.
hell yes.
Yes, it's those. I associate those two movies together all the time.
So good.
I remember my sister watched this a lot when we were younger, and I haven't seen it in, when did this come out? Like almost 20 years ago. I haven't seen it in that long. It's been a long time. I definitely want to rewatch it now that Olivia talked about it and everything.
So good. Also, it's peak Aaron Taylor Johnson before he got all buff. He's like totally a twink in it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it, but I do remember it being like a sensation for a while there. Should check it out. Okay, going up to Brian.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go with the, let's get the recent decade out of the way. Let's do the 2020s. And this is a very unconventional pick, but when you look at it when you dig deep into it, you realize, yep, this is a coming of age. So, crazy enough, this director literally has a film out in the theater right now. I'm going to go with Jane Schoenbrun's I Saw the TV Glow for 2020s. This was my favorite film of 2024. I admittedly am not a horror guy at all. Like, that is not one of my favorite genres. Not because I get scared easily, but it's hard to creep me out and unsettle me and freak me out. And that movie creeped me out, it unsettled me, and it hurt me emotionally because it was a dive into how we consume media and how we view ourselves as a part of the world that we're immersed into, but then how we forget to identify who we are and accept who we are and be kind to ourselves and love ourselves. And the 90s aesthetic, the early 2000s aesthetic was so cool. The soundtrack was a vibe. The two performances were unbelievable. And Jane Schoenbrun, this was only their second film. They presented themselves as one of the most exciting voices in the industry. I still haven't seen We're All Going to the World's Fair, time of recording. But this film was great, and I fucking love Can My Asthma. I'm so excited that it's finally coming out and everybody's able to watch it. But I Saw the TV Glow was just a game changer for me in so many ways. You know how you walk into a movie not really expecting much from it, not really anticipating vibing with it, but this was everything that I didn't expect it to be and so much more. It's so bleak and devastating, but that also showcases that coming of age is not all sunshine and rainbows. So this is a masterpiece in my opinion. And I know that, again, this is one that not everybody connects with, but I know it is a favorite amongst the cinephiles. So I felt that if I had to pick a 2020s coming of age, this is one that really, really struck a chord with me.
That was also my list. I love that movie so much. The colors in that movie are incredible. I love, and there is still time written in chalk on the sidewalk makes me cry every
I
time.
almost got that tattooed recently, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. That'd be too emotionally overwhelming for me.
That's a movie I saw for the first time and liked, but didn't feel like I fully got it. And I really appreciated all of the like engaging with nostalgia, the way that can like. I mean, I love the way that the show literally like changes from watching it when he's originally into it and then later on. But then on a second watch, it clicked a lot more for me, and I really I love it in a discussion as a coming of age film because it's almost like an aborted coming of age. It's almost like, what if you just never came of age? What if you were just so terrified by whatever's inside yourself and just have to kind of shut down and accept your life as is, and we'll never do that examination to figure out your next phase, your next era. And so yeah, it's a bleaker take on it, but yeah, I think it definitely a really kind of a signature one for like the 2020s now. And
Yeah,
I'm
this
shocked
one-
that you didn't pick licorice pizza, Brian.
What happened?
Oh, I am.
I'm shocked
I
you didn't pick licorice pizza for 2020s.
Yeah, too obvious of a pick. I wanted votes, not people swaying away.
Fair enough.
I have such a weird relationship with this film because I want to love it as much as everyone else does, but I think I saw it later than everybody else, and I think that the hype around it was one of those situations where I was like, "Oh my God, I'm about to see one like of the greatest movies. Like I'm gonna love it." And I think the hype killed it for me in a bit. But I'm jealous. Like I wish I had as much of a connection to it as you do, Brian. I do.
I feel like this, after I watched this movie, I was literally nonverbal for like the whole. I drove an hour to see this movie because it wasn't playing near me. And then I watched it, went nonverbal, was immobilized on the car ride home. It changed me. I just feel I'm a horror queen. Like, my favorite genre is horror. And that
I hope
genre
we could
doesn't
still be
really.
friends after what I just said about the genre.
It's okay. Yeah, it's not for everyone, but nothing really shakes me, but that movie shook me. I was shook.
Definitely.
Can't wait for
right,
all of you to
moving
see
on.
Miasma.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I like it. All right, Liz, it's your pick.
I'm going to go with the 1980s, and I'm going to go with a movie that for me is kind of, in my mind, like the stereotypical coming of age film. And I'm going to go with The Breakfast Club. That for me is just it's a classic. I mean, it explores the typical stereotypes of like the high school experience, and in my opinion, kind of tries to flip the stereotypes a little bit on their head and try to show that yes, you could be a stereotype, but you're still a person at the end of the day. Um, it's part of like the Brat Pack film group. And I feel like this is, yeah, it's just like a staple, especially for that 80s genre. I think that this film also is a big influence for a lot of like today's films about high school or like stories around younger groups. I know that like the Daniels' next film, after Everything Everywhere All at Once, they said that their next film has like a little bit of the Breakfast Club essence to it. So I think that just to have people kind of being inspired by that film alone is a testament to it. And then I mean like the cast, Judd Nelson, Molly Ringhouse, Emilio Estevez, who else? Anthony Michael Hall. I feel like it's just one of those films that when you think of like the 80s genre of like young adult coming of age films, this is the one that pops in my head the most.
It's one of
Yeah,
the greats.
this or Ferris Bueller would have been my top 80s picks. Those are my two favorite John Hughes movies, and yeah, just so emblematic of coming of age and the 80s.
I have to admit that I've seen The Breakfast Club twice, and I rewatched it recently because when I first watched it, I wasn't like that taken aback by it.
Mhm.
So I rewatched it for this podcast because I figured somebody would bring it up, and I still wasn't in love with it. I think it's just the first half of the movie just like I have to admit it bores me a little. The first half of the movie, I think it really picks up in the second half. Um, that's not to say that I dislike the movie. I think everything you said, Liz, is very. Um, I mean, it represents the movie so well, and one of my favorite running jokes of all time is when people see the movie and they're like, they didn't even have breakfast once. It's like that's a joke I never get tired of. I love, I'll criticize anybody stealing anybody's joke, but not that one.
Yeah.
Classic for a reason.
True.
Okay, let's see. Now moving on to Katie's pick.
Ooh, I don't know if I should go 2020s or 1980s. I think I'll stick with. Actually, no, I'm going 2020s because Sorry, my cat is deciding to play with toys right now. Sorry about that. I'm going to go with a movie I actually saw recently. that my friend has been begging me to see. And this was not my initial top pick until I saw it. And that's Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This movie
So good.
is so sweet. It's so sweet. I think it's a lot like eighth grade in a sense that, yes, it follows a young girl. She's going through some changes in her life, but it also adds the topic of religion, which, I mean, it's pretty heavy stuff for an 11-year-old. She thinks she has to force herself to decide whether she wants to be Jewish or Christian, and that's such a huge thing for an 11-year-old to decide. And as someone who, you know, when I was 11 years old, I didn't have a choice. I was Christian. That's just the way it was. So I couldn't relate to it on that aspect. But I think anybody who has ever questioned their religion, and felt like they needed to belong to something, can really relate to that. And it also deals with like very classic stuff like, you know, peer pressure and, you know, crushes on boys and your growing body. And I think one of the funniest things that I got from this movie was that all her friends and all these girls are so excited to get their period. And by the end, spoiler, she gets her period and she's like crying. And yes, it's because she's a woman now, but she's just so excited about it. I'm like, give it a couple of years. Give it a couple of years.
Yeah.
We'll be crying for other reasons. But I absolutely adore this movie. I think Rachel McAdams gives such an amazing performance. I think, and I just love that her parents are so supportive of her, yet they're not perfect either. And again, that's what I love to see in these movies.
That's Benny Safdie, right?
Yes.
The dad.
I was
I believe that's like one of his best roles.
Hot Jewish dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's great at that.
Great New Jersey movie. Liz and I potted about this movie on the last coming of age pod and everything, and it's a beautiful film. This movie rocks. Kelly Fremont Craig, keep making wonderful coming of age films, please. And Rachel McAdams should have been nominated and won the Oscar for this.
Oh, totally. I remember that was like a whole controversy.
It makes no sense. How do you not nominate her for this?
I think at this point, I don't know. I guess the Academy just it doesn't seem like they care about children's stories anymore, even though it's not like a kids movie. It features a child, and I think there's some stigma against that.
So true, yeah. Because I feel like there's the quality of movies for kids has been so down from, you know, the previous decades when that was like a really thriving sort of genre. And so, yeah, I feel like now it almost gets relegated to like, oh, yeah, that's a kid's movie, when it's not. It's something that a child could enjoy, an adult could enjoy. And yeah, and it has something for everybody. And it's just really, really funny, really well observed. And yeah, great performances from everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, now moving to my picks. Let's see. I think I'll do the 80s now. I'm gonna go with I have a handful of ones that I could choose from. Think I'm gonna go for Dirty Dancing, which
Nice.
I definitely love this movie. Watched it a lot. It's like a teenager and early 20s and stuff. I haven't seen it in quite a while, but you know, it's pretty memorable. So especially Patrick Swayze. But yeah, just the story of sort of, you know, someone getting out of their comfort zone, kind of, you know, this rich sheltered girl who is exposed to this other world of dancers and kind of her first love and everything, and you know, very like frank about an abortion storyline that is well handled, and you know, just a big part of again, kind of like I was talking about with Clueless, kind of like being engaged with the world outside of yourself and learning and growing that way. And you know, it's just a fun movie. The dancing is so amazing. It's just got such a like fun, sexy vibe. And so yeah, I haven't. It's not like one of my, you know, movies that I go to all the time. But yeah, whenever I think about it, I'm like, God, I just love Dirty Dancing. So yeah, I'll throw that one on the draft.
So good. Peak 80s.
Yeah, so 80s.
Also, not enough kids are named Baby nowadays.
True. They don't want to get put in the corner, so you know.
Yeah. So they just don't even try.
No, this is a great pick, Veronica. Really good one. If this was like my second pick, so great one.
Yeah, this was third for me after the John Hughes movies that got taken. All right, let's see. I will take my second pick now. Um, I guess I'll go for 2020s. Do a more recent one. I'm happy that this is still on the board. I kind of felt like this was going to go. I'm going to take Worst Person in the World, which I think was popular at the time for sure when it came out in 2021. I think now it's just kind of been claimed as like a modern cinephile classic, with Renata Reinsve like kind of bursting on the scene as a new Hollywood actress, and she's everywhere now, rightfully so. Just a really great movie. We got to talk about it recently on the 2021 draft. Something that this is definitely an example of like coming of age at any age. This is someone in her later 20s and following her life on from there, and just feeling like you don't have things figured out, trying to figure out if there is any figuring it out, or if everyone is just kind of going through life. And there are just so many specific interactions here with the relationships that she has, the sort of fanciful like dreamlike sequence that's in the middle of it. It's just really creative that way. And yeah, I just so relate to her feeling of she's someone who is like a really smart, like she almost feels like she thinks she should be more accomplished than she is. Like she kind of has it all but can't quite put pieces together, in a way that I think a lot of us feel, where we just don't necessarily a little bit aimless in life and thinking that a certain relationship is going to fix it, or that a new job or a new career, and just ultimately I just love how it follows her along on her journey, and all the little observations about life along the way.
Amazing pick. That was one of the first movies I watched where I was like, people are still figuring themselves out in their 20s. That's crazy. And then I also watched it on a plane for the first time, which I regret.
What is it with you and plane watches?
Every time I watch like Final Destination for the first time on a plane because I'm insane. But
can you watch something and feel good on a plane? Just something feel good, please.
It's just like uninterrupted time.
Masterpiece, my second favorite film of the 2020s, Renata Reinsve, all-timer performance, Joachim Trier, I Bow to You. Many memorable sequences, the sequence where she's running through the city and everyone is frozen in time. The whole exchange where she's like, yes, I do love you, but I also don't. So relatable, hits way too close to home. And yeah, just one of the greats. Renata Reinsve, my queen.
Totally agree.
Isn't this one of your favorite movies ever, Liz?
Yeah, literally this film rocked me to my core when I saw it, and like I had to be alone for the rest of like the week because I was like, I think I am the worst person in the world in like a good way or like maybe a bad way, and like it really rocked me. But anybody that like asks me for like a recommendation and is like, oh, like what should I watch? Like, and I'm like, okay, if you want kind of like existential, like kind of maybe feel good that you aren't the only one losing your mind as like a 20-year-old, I'm like, this is it. This is it for you. So I love this film.
Yeah, what do you, Liz or anyone else, what do you take from like the title? Because I always like, first time I saw it, I was like, I don't even really get it. But like, yeah, I think it almost is, from what we see of her, she's, I don't think she does anything all that crazy. She doesn't, she certainly doesn't, like, I don't think you would naturally say that. But I think it is just that feeling of like, I feel like I'm the worst person in the world, even though I'm literally just existing and trying to figure out life and my relationships and my job and everything else. So that's what I kind of get from it. But yeah, I'm wondering if anyone else has like different interpretations of it.
No, that's my interpretation as well. You pretty much said exactly how I feel about the title and everything.
Yeah, me too.
She even goes out of her way to not. She goes out of her way to not technically cheat. So she's trying.
All right. Looks like we're going back to Katie.
Okay, I'm gonna go 1980s, and I'm gonna go with a franchise that I love. I'm gonna go with the first movie in this franchise, and that is The Karate Kid.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. This is a coming of age movie.
Yes, it
I'm
is.
calling. Yes, it's very coming of age. I love the Karate Kid so much. I've seen every single film. I don't, I haven't seen the other ones in so long, so I'm not
Please
going to
tell
give my
me you're a
opinions.
fan of Cobra Kai.
I have not finished it because
Oh
it got
my
so
God.
ridiculous. It got so ridiculous
But
at some
that's
point.
the point. It knows it's ridiculous. You call yourself a
I
fan of the
know.
Karate Kid and you haven't
I
watched Cobra Kai?
know. I'm gonna finish it, I promise. But it got to a point where I was like cringing so hard and not like I wasn't enjoying the cringe.
I will get back into The Walking Dead for you if you finish Cobra Kai. I promise.
Okay, I
I'm
will-
making that live on air right now. I will do that for you.
I think that's unfair because Walking Dead has 11 seasons and Cobra Kai has like what, 5?
All the more reason to get into it. You have the easier
Okay.
task than I do.
Okay, I'll finish Cobra Kai for you. If you finish The Walking Dead.
I
Or at
will.
least get back into it. I'll give you
I
that.
will get back into it. I was over halfway through with it when I tuned out.
Okay. So the Karate Kid, this is a lot like Are You There, Guys? Me, Margaret. It's a new kid coming to a new state, and it's almost a new culture. I think he comes from New Jersey and goes all the way to California. And he sort of makes friends at first, then they sort of leave him when he gets beat up by the Cobra Kai kids. And he's falling in love, and she's a rich girl, and he's not. And it's just like so like teenage boyish. And then his relationship with Mr. Miyagi is one of my favorite dynamics in film of all time. I love Miyagi, and I love how Daniel for the longest time calls him Miyagi. And I'm like, I don't know why you keep calling him this. It's Miyagi. But it has the classic scene like wax on, wax off. But it also teaches Daniel a lot about life and a lot about tolerance. Because I think we all would look at Miyagi's methods and think it's a little ridiculous. But over time, they pay off. And the final tournament is like one of the most satisfying third acts of all time. And I also like, oh my God, I'm like blanking on his name.
Ralph
Blonde
Macchio?
guy.
Oh, Johnny Lawrence?
no.
William Zabka.
Yes, Johnny Lawrence. I will say the one thing I don't like about the movie is that he quickly is just like, you know what, you're a good kid, Daniel. And it's just because like his instructor made him cheat. I'm like, okay, there's no growth there, but I'll take it.
Oh, just wait until you finish Cobra Kai. There's a lot with him there.
You know what? I love Johnny and Cobra Kai. I got far enough to where I loved him.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I think Karate Kid, it's such an 80s movie. And even though we're not all, waxing on and waxing off out there, and we're not all doing karate, I think we can really relate to Daniel and his quarrels in high school. I think he's in high school.
But do you buy into the whole discussion that he's the true villain?
Who?
Daniel? There's been a whole thing for years about how he's the villain of the story.
I know that, but no, come on. I think Daniel and Johnny need to just make up and possibly kiss. Who knows?
Well, if you finish Cobra Kai, maybe that happens.
I don't know. I don't even remember where I left off. I know they were like teaming up against, I guess it was Johnny's former instructor. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Restart it. It will be worth it.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize we were going to go on a whole Cobra Kai.
Anytime Cobra Kai could come into the discussion, I will champion it till the end of time.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
Fantastic pick, by the way. Well, this movie is great. Everything you said is absolutely warranted. And yeah, it's awesome. No one else liked the Karate Kid, I guess?
Wow. So let me guess, nobody likes Rocky either?
This is a good pick. I feel like I just never even think of it as a coming of age. I mean, but your argument is correct, and I believe you. But
thank you.
Yeah, you've opened my mind.
I think I just wanted to find a way to talk about the Karate Kid.
Yeah,
and
that's so fair.
And Rocky, I love those two franchises. I would say I love Rocky more, but Karate Kid is a great coming of age movie.
I don't think I've actually seen it. I just sort of know everything about it through cultural osmosis, but I don't ever think I've ever sat down and watched the movie. But
Have
I'm
you
sure
ever
it's a
seen
classic.
Have you ever seen the 2010
I have
version?
not.
Let me
That's
tell
love
the
you.
that
one
one.
I've seen. I have.
I do love that one. With
That one
Jaden
is
Smith.
actually not that
Does it
bad.
hold up?
I'm a Jaden Smith stan.
Yeah.
I love that he actually moves to China in that movie. He's not in.
Does he
he's
not
in-
in the original?
No, he moves
No,
from New
he's-
York to LA, or New Jersey to
Okay.
LA.
Yeah.
Okay, I assumed it was like a complete redo.
No, I think they
Jaden
were
Smith
trying to
get
like.
China.
I think they were trying to be like culturally appropriate, and then they kind of missed that a little bit by going
They-
way too into it.
They didn't even call it karate in the new one. They called it kung fu. He was like, "Oh, it's not karate, it's kung fu." He kept saying
It's a
that.
Kung
In,
Fu Kid.
yeah,
Kung Fu Kid.
the Kung Fu Kid. I didn't like the new Karate Kid movie that just came out. I didn't really enjoy that one very much. I was underwhelmed.
With Ben something.
Yeah, Ben Wayne
Yeah.
on The Long Walk.
Yeah. It was not ideal.
They
I
tried
like
to
him, though.
they tried to combine Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, and it just was not really that interesting because they spent like half of the movie with him teaching that Joshua Jackson guy how to box, and I'm like, this is called the Karate Kid, not the boxing mentor,
Boxing guy.
the boxing guy.
Like, there's a whole nother franchise for that. Just go
Exactly,
to that one.
exactly.
Well, in the future, I'll do a double feature of the original and the Jaden Smith, and I can leave the others out.
But watch Cobra Kai. All right, moving on. Is it Liz's turn?
Yes, Liz, you're up.
Is it? Okay. I'm gonna do 2020s, and I'm going to do. I'm gonna go with After Sun. I think of it as a coming of age. Maybe some people disagree, but for me, it is the character of, I believe her name is Sophie. Like looking back at her childhood and seeing her coming of age with her father, and like the melancholy in a way of looking back on like your youthful time, especially with like your parents or your like specifically your father, and trying to remember them, remember him how he was back then versus what you now know him to be as an adult. And I think that it just covers the entire like realm of what it means to like your relationship changes to your family and the people that you love as you get older, but you still can look back on it and those times and try to figure out like what were we having in those moments together. I think it's beautiful. I think it's my second favorite performance from Paul Mescal, right behind Normal People. I believe he got an Oscar nom for this. I'm pretty sure for Best Actor. I'm pretty sure it was his first one, and so well deserved. I think his performance is killer and just so nuanced and so simplistic in ways, but also has so many undertones to it. And it's one of those films that you really need to sit and watch it. And like, it's definitely not an action filled film. It's much more subtitle and kind of puts you in your feels about growing up and also your parents growing up. And sometimes they didn't make the best choices, but they were your parents and people too. So I love this movie.
That was my second pick behind I Saw the TV Glow for this category. It's so good.
Nice.
Makes me cry every time.
This is one of the hardest movies I've ever watched in my life, and it's so powerful and it's so beautiful and a hell of a debut. Paul Mescal is awesome. That was a very deserved Oscar nomination, and Frankie Corio, who plays Sophie, that's a phenomenal child performance, and I really hope that she continues acting following this. And just like such a reflective portrait of someone who you thought you understood, but now you're trying to pick the pieces apart and figure out who they are. And there was a film that just came out recently that me and Veronica both loved. I don't know if anyone else here saw it, but it was called Blue Heron, and it reminded me very much of After Sun. Like a great companion piece to that film. Similar vibe, similar vein. And yeah, it's just one of the more personal coming of age films that I think has come out of the last 10 years for sure. And I never listened to Under Pressure again the same way because of this movie. So thanks for ruining this Sawn movie. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, another great Your Parents Are Real People movies, which are always tough.
So tough.
Okay, back to me. Hmm. Uh, let's do the 2000s. I'm between two. I'm between one that's a bit of a conventional pick and one that isn't a conventional pick. Looking at my team, I feel like I have more conventional picks. I mean, I saw the TV Go as a bit of an unconventional pick, but I'll go back to a conventional pick. I think there's a particular 2000s film that somebody wants on this draft, but we'll see if they pick it and everything. So for my 2000s pick, I'm going to pick Cameron Crowe's Almost Famous. Another one that's just like an all-timer movie for me. Kate Hudson's performance as Penny Lane. That's like top 5 performances that I've ever seen. Such radiance, such beauty, but also so much underneath the surface with that character that I really commend Cameron Crowe for tackling. Set in the 70s, as someone who loves the 70s when it comes to the vibe and the music and the aesthetic and the movies and the culture, I really think that it is beautifully captured here in this film. And I loved knowing that Cameron Crowe took elements of when he was a kid trying to be a journalist and then talking with this band and then incorporating it into a movie. It's so wonderfully constructive. It's hilarious. It's sincere. It's heartfelt, heartbreaking. I brought up Kate Hudson, how incredible she is. Frances McDormand is also on fire in this. This might be my favorite performance that she's ever given, which is saying a lot. And my guy, Billy Crudup, chewing up the scenery, stealing the show, and again, being so unbelievably fucking hot. Like, what the actual fuck? And talk about a guy that has aged like wine. Truly, I will always hype up a man that looks hot and has aged very well. I did with Paul Rudd, and I'm going to do it again with Billy Crudup. So, Almost Famous is amazing. The Tiny Dancer scene on the bus is one of my favorite scenes ever put to screen. And I also think an underrated scene is when she's roller skating in the club and The Wind by Cat Stevens is playing underneath. So beautiful film, very reflective. And yeah, it hits really hard for me. And it took a while for me to love this movie again because this was the favorite movie of someone I used to date. And it took me a while to love the movie again. But watching it again a couple of years back, I'm like, well, I'm not going to let anyone stop me from loving this movie. So yeah, this movie is awesome. It's the real deal.
That was my
Very
experience with
definitive.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
What
Sorry.
happened? What'd you say?
I had to say you were talking about like how your ex, that was their favorite movie. I was like, no, that was me with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Ah, no.
With two people. So it was rough.
Can't let them get in the way of Avatar.
Of
Definitely
course
not.
not.
Yeah,
No.
definitely not Avatar.
No.
Maybe Avatar, James Cameron Avatar, but not The Last
That's
Airbender.
fine. I'll
be
give
fine.
him that. I'll give him that.
I haven't seen Almost Famous in a long time. It's not. I love Jerry Maguire so much that that's just like my top tier Cameron Crowe movie. But
Understandable.
yeah, but I should give this a rewatch because I love Kate Hudson especially, but the whole cast is really great.
Agreed. Okay, back to Olivia.
Oh God. Okay. I think I'm gonna go for 1990s because I haven't done that one yet, and I'm gonna go with Empire Records. I watched this for the first time, I think last year, or maybe earlier this year, and it's just like a really perfect, almost like found family coming of age movie. It's like an ensemble cast, and it just kind of follows their day. It's Rex Manning Day at this record store, and it's just like really cool kids getting to be kids and hang out. It's just like an ultimate hangout movie, and it's just like weird stuff happens to them all day, and they're funny and stupid and silly, and I love a good hangout movie, and it's coming of age. Like I said, it's found family versus like a very solo journey. There's like no single hero, like no single lesson, just kind of this bunch of misfits who go to war for each other. And by the end of one shift, like their whole lives feel like they've changed, but it's only been one day. And they have this crazy dance party at the end, and the soundtrack is so good, and it's just like peak 90s, like teen urban hood. That was, yeah, it's just like really, really a fun time, and I love getting to see this movie, and I'm glad I watched it this year.
My boss loves this movie, and she forced me to watch it. She said, "If you're not watching it, you may lose your job." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." um, so I watched it, and I had a good time with it. It's a very fun time. Everything that you said, Rexman Day, and all that stuff, very enjoyable film.
It's been on my watch list for a while, but I still haven't seen it. All right. Move on to who's up next? Hailey?
Haley has her 2 final picks.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the 2000s, and I'm gonna pick probably the most conventional pick because nobody has picked it yet. So I'm gonna go with Mean Girls. I feel like this was the coming of age movie for me growing up. It was like very similar to Clueless, where I became obsessed with it. I rewatched it constantly. It's just a classic. It's Katie Heron. She's moving from Africa to America. She's having this identity crisis and trying to not become popular, but then becomes popular and becomes she enters a space where she doesn't recognize herself anymore. And I just feel like everybody can relate to this movie. It's also extremely funny, and it still holds up to this day. I just feel like this movie is, when I think of coming of age, I think of Mean Girls.
This is the only Mean Girls movie that exists, by the way.
I never saw the other one.
Awful.
It was terrible.
Yeah, you weren't missing anything.
It was shot in our hometown that me and Veronica grew up in, which is crazy. It sucks that that movie had to be the one movie shot in our hometown, but, you know, hey, what can you do?
It's your legacy now.
Unfortunately. Right now they're shooting Grown Ups 3 in our hometown, which is very
Oh,
interesting.
That might be the better one.
Oh, no, it definitely will be the better one. There's no question about it.
I will just say Renee Rapp innocent. She's still fantastic in it.
Yeah, I
But
love
yes.
her, but I just didn't see the movie.
Yeah.
But no one can match Rachel McAdams as Regina George. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Shout out Damien, one of the great scene stealers in any comedy, but any movie ever. Oh my God, Danny DeVito, I love your work.
Yeah, just comedic genius, like totally defined the era. Like, I don't think I even saw it when it first came out because I was probably like a little young for it, but just the quotes, the concept of, you know, the plastics and defining the cliques at school and everything, just so iconic, just instantly recognizable. And yeah, I mean, shout out to Tina Fey for that script. Is just it's so well written, so observant and hilarious. Yeah, just absolute classic.
Okay, Haley, you have one more pick left, and it's for the 2020. So, how are you going to conclude your team?
I am gonna pick The Holdovers. I feel
Yay!
like this movie is one of the. It feels so nostalgic, like an older, early 2000s cozy, even before the 2000s coming of age film. And it also feels very reminiscent to Tony, that's coming out soon, which I also loved. But yeah, Dominic Sessa, amazing. I just like love movies in the winter as well. It just feels there's a big transformation that happens, and I just love it. I have nothing but it just makes me feel warm inside.
It's an amazing
Incredible movie.
That's the speech that Paul gives, where he's like, "You are not your father," and I can't remember the rest. I'm not going to recount the entire thing, but such a great monologue by him, and such a great teaching moment. Well, just I believe that was the scene where they're waiting for the dessert that he wasn't allowed to have because he was too young. Um, but yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's a
That
great
that
pick.
movie
I
that
didn't think
movie is
After
one
Sun
of
I
my
would have picked
favorites. It's incredible. That's a great pick, Haley, and I love everything that you said. And I also love that you mentioned Tony because that movie rocks as well. Um, yeah, it's incredible. Paul Giamatti, that's my guy. Dominic Sessa, that's my new guy, and Divide Joy Randolph, unbelievable performance as well. Great capture of the '70s and the winter. Um, Very nostalgic. Felt like a film plus from the '70s too, and yeah, I love how it's not just a coming of age for Angus Tully, but it's also a bit of a coming of age for Paul and Mary. I really loved how it showcased that again we all come of age at various points of our lives, and the way it tackled loneliness and isolation was very beautifully handled too. All right, so back to Olivia for her final pick, which is also 2020s.
Yes, and I'm gonna go with Cha Cha Real Smooth, directed by Cooper Rafe.
Good pick.
From 2022. I loved this movie when I saw it a couple years ago. I watched it when I was 22, and I was like, "This movie's about me." Um, it's like so aimless, 20 something, not knowing what they're doing, but like post having the diploma, so you're kind of like, "I guess I've made a decision." And yeah, it just follows Cooper's character Andrew, like back home after college. He has a dead end job, and he gets this job as like a bat mitzvah hype man, which is hilarious. Where he meets this like older single mom in Dakota Johnson, and it just spends the entire runtime like in this kind of weird, uncomfortable, well-intentioned, almost romance situationship kind of thing with her, and you get to see this like genuinely sweet relationship grow between his Dakota Johnson's daughter and Dakota Johnson herself, and this is kind of a through line in all my picks, but there's not like a graduation moment here. Like he doesn't level up into adulthood by the end of this movie. He just kind of watches everyone else around him seem to have it figured out, but slowly realize that nobody actually has it figured out, and they're all just kind of further along in faking it. And I think that's what I love watching when I see a coming of age movie because it feels relatable to me. And yeah, it kind of just has like a warm hangout movie energy, like great soundtrack, fun vibe, great writing. I love Cooper Rafe's other film, Shithouse, but this is so good, and I have thought about it all the time since watching it a couple years ago.
I don't think there's a movie that hits harder for me that has come out in the 2020s than this one because this came out just 2 years after I graduated college, and I was still like at a point where I was struggling to figure out my place in this world, what I wanted to do with my life, my career, what have you. And I think it is a film that has grown for me over the last 4 years. It's crazy that it's been that long since it came out. And I agree, Cooper Rave, just a really unbelievable talent that I want to see more from. Of I agree, Shithouse is great, and I really liked Howell and Harper as well, the series that he did last year with Lily Reinhardt. So, yeah, it's a wonderful pick, and Dakota Johnson is awesome in it. She's incredible.
Yeah.
I had this and Shithouse on my list as possibilities. I really love Cooper Rafe and his sort of perspective and we've talked about if you get specific with things, it is a very typical coming of age story, kind of figuring out your life thing, but so many jokes and specific instances that just really hit home when you're in that stage of your life. So yeah, I really like his work so far.
Okay, well, now we're back to me for my final pick, and I saved the shittiest category for last. And there's literally like nothing to pick from. But after doing some deep digging, I'm like, okay, there's some decent films I guess I could choose from. Um, so for pre 1980s, I'm gonna go with The Last Picture Show from Peter Bogdanovich, a film that I admittedly haven't seen a ton. I've only watched it, I think, twice, but it's been many years since I've watched it. And it's a film that is set in the 50s and focuses on people figuring out their belonging. And everything that we've seen in coming of age films is present here in this film, but it's shot in black and white. It feels very old school and vintage and nostalgic, and it has an incredible screenplay following multiple characters and their journeys and figuring out where they belong and who they are. And it's a film that I think that if you're invested or more so interested in getting into 70s cinema, despite this not being set in the 70s, I think it is an essential watch for everybody to check this out because of the dialogue. The performances are unbelievable. And Peter Bogdanovich is a filmmaker whose work I'm still trying to get through, but I think that he was one of the most fascinating voices, especially in the 70s, because he made this and Paper Moon and What's Up, Doc. Very unique voice, very unique style to his projects, very eclectic filmography that I really commend. And I think The Last Picture Show is just one of the shining examples of how to do a coming of age film, especially one that follows people as they get out of college. Like, I think that is a really, really hard topic to tackle, and I think this film does it beautifully. So this is a high recommendation if anyone listening loves coming of age, loves 70s films. And it was even a launching pad for many stars of this film, including Jeff Bridges, Sybil Shepherd, just to name a few. So yeah, The Last Picture Show is going to be my final pick. Has anyone here seen The Last Picture Show?
I have not.
Nope.
No.
It's on the watch list.
Wow. All right. Well, happy to be championing it here today. Highly recommended for everybody. It's very weird watching a movie with very young Jeff Bridges, though. Like, it's very jarring for me because everything I've seen him in, he's like not young. Liz, it's now time for your final pick.
Okay. 2010s. I've been going back and forth between two. But I think I'm gonna go with one that's maybe a little bit less. It's more like for cinephiles, I would say, and I'm gonna go with Raw. Um, yeah, this movie I loved when I saw it. It's so cool. Like that's just like kind of how I want to describe it. It's a body horror coming of age. Um, and just like the concept of her being a vegetarian and eating meat for the first time, and then going through like this painful transition, kind of for me resonates and emulates what growing up is like almost. Obviously, it's in a more visceral way in this film, but also like I've seen people say how it's definitely emulates also like the sexual awakening that happens when you're starting to go through becoming an adult as well, and how like primal, like just the primal conversation around it. And so for me, this film, I love the artistic take on it and just everything that they're trying to talk about and uncover, and like the uncomfortableness that can come from our bodies going through adulthood and getting out of like adolescence time. Um, yeah, and like I'm a huge fan of like the body horror genre specifically. I think that this film, if it had come out now when I think body horror is a little bit more mainstream, people would be eating this up. But I hope that maybe it can get like a second reliving because I think that this film's really, really a statement piece.
It's been on my watch list for so long. I'm dying to see it.
That's a really brilliant choice. I saw it in college, and I distinctly remember I saw it, and I was, if I recall, there's like a scene where she's like, "This is so gross." Like she's pulling hair out of her like mouth.
Yeah.
And I remember telling the guy that I was seeing in college, and he was so disgusted by it that he was like almost angry and was like, "Stop talking to me about it." I'm like, okay. And looking back, I'm so glad I kept going on about it to him.
Yes.
But this movie was one that I always wanted to see, when I was in college. And I think you perfectly explained it, Liz. It is just so visceral and so like, it's such a brilliant idea of like betraying a new chapter in your life and like going to college and trying new things, and it's so horrific, but that's kind of how it is, like entering a new
Yeah.
chapter and trying new things.
It's a very inspired pick. It's a really, really cool pick. And like I said before, we just did a 2021 movie draft, and I sung my praise for her follow-up film, Titan, which is just a fucking masterclass across the board. But this is an exceptional debut as well. So yeah, it's again, I really champion genre coming of age films, and I think we need more of them.
This was second on my list, so I'm really glad someone picked it.
Nice. All right, up to Katie for her final pick.
Okay, I saved this one for last because Brian took my ultimate choice for 2010s. I
Oh,
love Boyhood
shit.
so much. Like, I'm actually struggling, and I think I'm struggling because 2010s is when I was coming of age, so there are so many movies to choose from, and I think I'm just gonna have to ultimately pick one. And I'm gonna pick Inside Out. Um, I mean, this is a movie literally made by someone who, if I recall, they were looking at their young daughter and seeing all the emotions she was going through in the phases, and like they were so inspired to create this movie. And this movie turned out to be one of the best animated movies of the century. And like my last three movies, it's about a girl who moves to a new place and cannot deal with it, and is really struggling. And but this time we see inside her brain what's happening. You have all these emotions going on. I think overall it's, the basic story, moving to a new town. It's pretty, I won't say it's overdone, but it's a cliche almost. But I think the way they did it in this format, making the emotions the main characters, making us feel for these emotions, I think that was a really brilliant idea.
Big thumbs up. That's it. Moment of
What was
silence
that?
for big thumbs up. That's all
Oh,
I have to say. Moment of silence for Bane Bond.
yeah.
Stop.
I felt like
So true.
I felt like this was a stereotypical choice, but because I have so many other coming of age movies that I love in this era, but Inside Out is very, I mean, it's as coming of age as you can get for an anime movie.
I agree. I think that it also, like, you could say it's a cliche, but kind of like Boyhood, it also is a staple in a way for the coming of
Mhm.
age because it really does look into like the inner world in such a creative way. So I love that pick.
Yeah, probably my favorite of the like Disney Pixar, more, I don't know, sort of abstract or like existential premises. That the whole thing was like, oh, they were like, what if feelings had feelings? But it just, they build out the world so well, and it does feel like, obviously it is these sort of very established, this inner world that they're building, but it does feel like that's probably what, my anger would look like or my sadness would look like. And it's just a really cool way to personify those things, and give them these recognizable personalities and voices. And yeah, just probably fun. I was a little older when it came out, but probably great for kids to experience for the first time, and like very, very illuminating, and plenty for adults to enjoy too.
And now we're back to you, Veronica, for your final pick, not only of your team, but of the entire draft. So, how are you going to conclude today's draft?
All right, final picks. I have 2000s left. Brian, you were saying you hope for more coming of age within genre films, so I'm gonna go with one of those. One of my favorite movies ever. I'm gonna go with Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, which probably not on its face like a first coming of age is not the first genre you would think of, but it definitely is. I mean, the Ophelia at the center of the story is dealing with a lot. She's coming of age at a time of fascism and war, and dealing with an interpersonal family issues, as her stepfather is a leader in the Spanish army, and the grand fantasy world that comes to life with that is visible only to her, and she sort of feels like she's unlocking this special thing, and there are tests, and it tests everything about what she is supposed to do, how she gauges morality, and then in the quote unquote real world, like how does she show up for her own family, her mother, and it's just Guillermo del Toro is one of my favorite filmmakers right now and of all time, and just to hear him talk about this movie is so great. The detail in the color theory that he puts into everything, and creating these two different worlds, and yeah, it's just one of my favorite movies. Such a gorgeous movie, and definitely a lot to I think that luckily we're not quite in the same situation here, but I really do see this movie and think of people in our day now coming up in a less than ideal political landscape, and the idea of sort of leaving your mark in a place where those who know to look for it can find it, and trying to leave some mark of good on the world, even when everything can just be so bleak, and the idea of this grand fairy tale is somewhat comforting and somewhat illuminating to our real life. So yeah, just one of the most beautiful movies ever.
So true. Wow. That was also like so beautifully put.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a-
Guillermo's my guy.
It's a really good pick.
Very good. That thing with the
Movies are
hands.
really in my top
So
4.
scary.
Oh, the hands.
Yeah.
Pale Man is, yeah.
Yeah, I
If
was
the
gonna
flying
say this
monkey
movie-
scared you, Brian, the Pale Man.
Oh, don't worry. He scared me too as a child as well. Still scares
Yeah,
me to this day.
Yeah.
Terrified
me
of
now.
this movie. I was terrified of this movie growing up.
I think-
The frog turning inside out really got me the first time. I was
oh
like,
my
Oh my god.
I think that this is his magnum opus. This is my favorite thing that he's ever put out, and he hasn't topped this for me. And it's crazy that this movie is 20 years old and still holds up very well and is very timeless. And just blending everything that you love about Guillermo into one with the war backdrop and the coming of age elements. It's just a really cool genre exercise from one of our great auteurs.
yeah, 20th anniversary this year. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
All right, I think we have done it. We have covered the wide breadth of coming of age films in all of film history.
So now we're going to recap our teams. We're going to go in order of who was drafted. So you're going to say the film and what category you put it in. So Veronica, since you went first, what is your team?
I have from the 2010s Lady Bird, for pre-1980s The Wizard of Oz, 1990s Clueless, 1980s Dirty Dancing, 2020s The Worst Person in the World, and 2000s Pan's Labyrinth.
Moving on to Katie.
For the 2000s, I have Juno, 1990s Good Will Hunting, pre-1980s Alice in Wonderland, 2020s Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, 1980s The Karate Kid, and 2010s Inside Out.
Liz.
I have from pre-1980s The Graduate, from the 1990s The Virgin Suicides, from the 1980s The Breakfast Club, from 2000s 13 Going on 30, from the 2020s After Sun, and from 2010s Raw.
I have 10 Things I Hate About You from the 1990s, Boyhood from the 2010s, Dead Poet Society from the 1980s, I Saw the TV Glow from the 2020s, Almost Famous for the 2000s, and The Last Picture Show for pre-1980s. Olivia?
I have Carrie for pre-1980s, Eighth Grade from the 2010s, Ferris Bueller's Day Off from the 1980s, Angus Thong's Unperfect Snogging from the 2000s, Empire Records from the 1990s, and Cha Cha Real Smooth from the 2020s.
And Hailey?
I have Moonlight from the 2010s. I have the 400 Blows from the pre-1980s. I have 1980s Kiki's Delivery Service, 1990s But I'm a Cheerleader, 2000s Mean Girls, and 2020s The Holdovers.
Gotta say, everyone has wonderful teams. These are all incredible picks, and I'm really happy that we got to draft all these films today.
Some of my favorite movies ever on the list. Several
Yeah.
of them.
Same.
And there's so many that didn't even make the board. Like, there's so many to choose from. I I would list honorable mentions, but we'll probably be here for 7 hours if that happens.
Yeah. Everyone want to shout out one that would be like your top honorable mention?
Probably
I'm
Little Miss
surprised.
Sunshine.
Nice.
Oh, Little Miss Sunshine. Oh my God, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Looking at my list, I had, there's so many, but first glance, I'd say The Florida Project.
Oh, I forgot about that movie. So good.
Hailey, you were saying you were surprised by
This
something?
isn't my pick, but I'm surprised nobody said Twilight. I thought somebody
I
would
am
say
surprised
Twilight.
nobody
Wow.
said Twilight either.
So true.
And I'm a
But
twihard.
I
should've-
would pick Bottoms for an honorable
I fucking
mention.
love Bottoms.
Mhm.
Bottoms.
I saw you just rewatched that recently.
I did just rewatch it. That's why it's fresh in my brain.
Probably wouldn't be the top honorable mention for me, but I kind of alluded that I thought somebody was going to pick this. I thought someone was going to pick Jennifer's Body. I know, Hailey, you just did a
It
video
was on my
on
list.
it. I thought you were going to pick that for 2000s.
Yeah, it
It's
was on my
awesome.
list.
That's an awesome genre. I almost picked that for my 2000s pick, but then I'm like, but I do like Almost Famous a smidge more. It's
It
tough.
was
There's some.
it was number one on my list, but then I was like, I don't have any conventional picks, so I went with me.
Yeah,
Gotta have some variety.
there's so many. Olivia, do you have a one that you would have put?
Well, Little Miss Sunshine is probably my biggest one, but also Frances Ha.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, that might actually be my next biggest one.
27 is old, though.
Not a real person yet. What else
No.
defines coming of age but that?
Masterpiece.
So good. All right, I think that concludes our coming of age movie draft. So be sure to vote on our Twitter and Instagram.
And with that, that is a wrap on today's episode of Some Like It Real. Thank you all for joining us. If you're interested in following on our journey, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Bryan Sutfield.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Vera Albarella and on Letterboxd at Alba_real_A.
And thank you to everyone for joining us today. This was so much fun drafting with each and every one of you. So now we're going to go around and you can tell the listeners where they can find you. So, Katie, let's start with you.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or if you call it X, and Letterboxd at Katie X Doll. That's where you can find all my work. And I'm currently covering The Walking Dead Dead City. New interviews for that every single week.
Olivia?
You can listen to my own podcast called Dial In for Movies. We have new episodes every week, and you can follow my Letterboxd or Instagram at Olivia Howell with 3 L's at the end.
Haley?
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Letterboxd at Jupiter Stargirl.
And Liz?
Yeah, you can follow along on. I'm a co-host for a podcast at the Cinema Wave podcast for the Culture Wave Media Network. And you can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd.
Go give everybody a follow. Links will be in the description. And you can follow the show on all socials at Some Like It Real, as well as on YouTube at Some Like It Real. Be sure to subscribe and share it around and tune in every Monday and Thursday for a new episode of Some Like It Real on podcast platforms.
We'll see you next time.